Have you ever heard of the Big Five?
No.
I took it this weekend. I never heard of it.
Was it good?
Well, it tells you like it breaks down your people into like five categories. So mine is openness and neuroticism, which means I tend to stress out more than other people, which probably goes with my 75% or 97% perfectionism score. So, all right. So that's all uploaded and read. Just make it's asking me which way it wants to go on the Enneagram. There's a secondary thing, make and educated. Yes, because I don't know which one's the best.
This is so cool. So I guess if you're someone who's into human design, you could add your human design stuff in, or if you're really big into astrology, you could add your astrology stuff in. So that's
Right.
super cool.
Let's see. Let me run the research phase. I'm going to stop that and I'm going to turn research on. Continue research. All right. So this is where it's going to take my design, all those results that it's looking at, and it's going to go research it. So what does an ISTP Myers-Briggs that is also a DC, what does that mean? And when we look at this and this, what does that mean? And so it goes through and does quite a bit of research. And this is the research that is going to really help with your tone as you write content. All right. So right here, have all the research I need. Let me build a comprehensive profile and inferred communication preferences. When I was building this, it was like, answer these questions, like open-ended questions. And I said, no, I want you to write them and I want to correct them if they're wrong. So these 6 questions are written based on the personality data we've given it. And I did this with a client this morning and he read this and he's like, totally me. Yep. Totally me. Yep. Oh, this is holy cow. I can't believe this. Like he was just blown away by this. But basically it's going to be like, what's your reading tolerance? What's your information format? Like, do you like long walls of text or do you like bullet points or somewhere in between? Analogies and metaphor, humor. I love humor and dad jokes and puns and things in my writing. Decision support and context depth. So how deep does this need to go? I'm going to say this tracks. All right. So it's going to build the full profile now.
While it's doing that, may I ask?
Mhm.
I tend to be someone who, when I'm talking to people, I try and have a very conversational style so that it's easy to relate to, like, so that we can relate, build rapport, that sort of thing.
Right.
If I want my writing to sound like me, but like my professional version of me, which there is a professional version of me, but at the moment I'm obviously in the conversational version of me. But if I go into a business meeting, you get professional version of me. How
Right.
do I get my content to still sound like me, but like the professional version of me, not the ChatGPT version of me? Is there a way that it can find that middle ground of, okay, it's still the same person if she's in a conversation, it's the same person if she's in a business meeting, it's not ChatGPT?
So one of the things I would say is there's a step here and I actually skipped it, but there's a step here where you can put in your personal beliefs and other information. So I think that's where you would put in, here's writing samples of me professionally, and here's writing samples of me personally. And you might even throw those into Claude or ChatGPT and say, analyze these writings and describe them, and then do that with your personal. And what you'll get is 2 descriptions of that content. And then you can throw those descriptions into here.
Then would you?
Similar to that is I have some people that I send emails to, long detailed emails, and I have figured out by their content that they are actually the exact opposite personality type than me. So what I've decided is I'm not going to write as me. I'm going to write my email. And then what I do is I tell Claude, rewrite this as this personality type. And so it rewrites it. And there's more story and more fluff and more like the opposite of how I would write. And that's actually the email that I send to them because it's in their, what I call personality language. And so it's going to be easier for them to read than if I send my version of it.
No, I've seen that. Like, I'm the person who might like write 2 or 3 very warm, very friendly sentences, and then the person will write back and be like, yes or no. And I'm like, this is a one answer person. I'm like, all right, I don't need to be warm and kind there. I'm missing that whole thing. So
Right.
I love that because that even in your writing and in your emails, that's helping you build rapport because you're speaking in their language.
Right. Right. And they're going to understand it and they're going to read more of it. And, they're going to take away more of it than if I sent it in mine. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. What I was going to say before is when you've got those two reading styles, if you were writing styles, the more serious professional business version, as opposed to the more casual, this is my life diary version, the conversational version, would you, if you were making your content, just make sure that your, whatever you're using, whether it's Claude or chat, would you make sure that's mixing through a combination of both in your content moving forward? So both sides of you are coming out, or would you get it to try and find a middle ground?
I would try to get it to find a middle ground. If you don't want a professional voice and a personal voice for two different, I was thinking two different bodies of content you're writing. If you're just writing for one, then I think you probably, what I would do is I would have Claude analyze that content, both types of content, describe it in detail, and then throw it together and tell Claude, I want something in between. Interview me on how to do that. Ask me questions about I want my personal slash my personal hybrid voice to sound. That's how I would do that.
Yep. And then that way your brand voice is always consistent.
Right. Right.
Yeah, cool.
So this is the markdown file that is created from the research and just goes through, and this is what's going to direct the skill on how to write. So here's an interesting one. Patterns to avoid. Great question. I hope this helps. That's a really interesting point. That makes me want to gag. Yes, please avoid those phrases. So this is me in a nutshell as far as communication. And so we're gonna go another step to create the skill. But if you're using Claude Code, what you can do is you can take this version and go put it into your project or global Claude.md, and that way this will be used. Now, keep in mind, when you put it into your Claude.md file, that's going to use tokens every time it retrieves it. So you probably want to shrink this down and just get the most critical information to put in there. And that way, when you go back to your project, or if you put in your global Claude file, then every chat will include this and you won't have to call that skill.
If you want to watch the entire episode, click here. And if you want to watch more episodes like this, click here.